Okay, I'm going to show you how I made these laundry cabinets. They're made out of melamine, so the inside is already pre-finished. The face frame and the door frames are all made out of clear pine, and then they're just painted. And the panels of these doors are just a beadboard paneling. So it's pretty simple, pretty cheap to make, and as you can see, they turned out pretty well. So stick around and I will show you how I did it.
Measure your space and sketch up your cabinet. I use SketchUp for this, but you could draw it by hand too. And then go ahead and make a cut list and a cutting diagram for your sheet goods and your pine boards. This will help to minimize waste. I use 3/4 inch melamine board for this project, and it helps to use a very sharp fine-tooth blade, a finish blade, when cutting this to reduce chip out. You can also run a piece of masking tape along your cut line to reduce chip out. And it helps when you're working with this by yourself to have the board cut down at the store into more manageable sizes. To assemble the carcass, I pre-drilled my screw holes, and then I used glue and construction screws and just screwed the whole thing together. The carcass is really nothing more than a box made out of your 3/4 melamine board. Top, sides, bottom, and even the back are all 3/4 inch melamine. Make sure you check for square on the back, and that ensures that your cabinet is square. Once you have it together, just wipe up your squeeze out glue and it'll be ready for the face frame. I used clear pine for my face frame because I wanted a nice paint finish. So once you get your pieces cut out, for assembly I use pocket holes and pocket screws, and then I painted the inside before I attached it to the carcass. And then to attach it, it's just a matter of gluing it and finish nailing it. Make sure you pre-drill your nail holes so they don't split the face frame. And then just set the heads and fill them in with painter's caulk or putty. I also use painter's caulk on the inner seams of the cabinet to hide that edge. So just a final sanding and paint, and that's it for the carcass.
Okay, well, I'm experimenting with a quick and easy way to join up these door frames. Typically on a kitchen cabinet or a piece of furniture, I would use a cope and stick type of door frame with a raised panel. But this one, for my laundry room cabinets, I just want to have a basic frame and router a rabbet in the back to accept the flat panel. So I made up this little jig. This is just a square basically, with the edges raised up a little bit to hold it. So what I'm going to do is, the stile would go there, the rail would go there, and then take and pre-drill this and run a couple of screws through it along with some glue. Put my screws in, and what I end up with is a finished joint like that, and then I can just take a 5/16 dowel, glue it in the hole, and cut it off flush. These doors are going to be painted, so you won't even see that in the end.
To get nice square doors, you really want to make sure all your stiles and rails are exactly the same length. So after I cut my first rail to length, I set a stop block up on my T-square, and that ensures I get the same length on all my stiles and rails. I do that to both the stiles and rails, and then I'm ready for assembly. To assemble my door frames, I pre-drill and countersink the holes for the screw heads by at least 1/4 of an inch. And then basically you just clamp it down so your face frames are nice and flush, and screw it together. Once it's all screwed together and you do all the corners, then you can glue a 5/16 dowel into the hole, and once the glue dries, just sand it flush. Once the door frames are assembled, I run a rabbet on the inside edge to accept the flat panel. I'm using a 1/4 inch by 3/8 rabbeting bit in my router, and then just take a chisel to square off the corners. When that's done, I just do a slight round over on the outer edge of the door frame, and then just run some glue and use a brad nailer to attach the flat panels. Here's all 4 doors ready for paint. I think they turned out really nice. I'm also making shelves for the cabinets. So I'm facing the front of the shelf with a piece of pine board, which will get painted. And to attach that, I'm just using biscuits and glue and clamps. Just round over the top edge of that a little bit. And then I'm using the European style hinges, the snap hinges they're called. I recruited some help to hang the cabinets. They are pretty heavy, made out of 3/4 melamine. So we're hanging one at a time. I made 2 cabinets to fill the whole space in. And because they are so heavy, you got to make sure you're hitting studs when you screw them in. And I also screwed them into the floor joists too. After putting the doors back on, I put the pull knobs on, and project is finished. Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to me, and leave a comment if you want. Again, thanks for watching. It's actually 2 cabinets, both identical, and I made them so they would fit wall to wall over my washer and dryer. That's what they're called. Yeah. I made them out of